Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, boys, girls, all appropriate ages, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. Hope you're staying safe and healthy and indoors if necessary. So, with what we know is coming out early next year, which starts tomorrow, with Warframe we've got an update for Railjack, including the Corpus tile sets, or the Corpus Proxima as we should say, the Queen pins and yada yada yada. But one thing that hasn't been mentioned as much, or not exactly swept under the rug, but not really discussed much these days, is the modular Archwings. Now we all know Archwing missions are going to be taken out of the system. Void never had one, but you know, all these missions, Kalos, Salacia, however you want to pronounce it. Wow, did they even really have one here? Wow, they didn't actually have one on Pluto. How did I not remember this? Either way, all the Archwing missions are going. And the only real place you'll be able to use Archwing is here, in Railjack. But with that being said, what can we expect from modular Archwings whenever they arrive? Or if they do actually make it a thing, because, you know, it may not be a thing next year, just like I don't think Divari Paradox is going to still be a thing next year. I think that'll be 2022, if I'm honest. But while we're waiting to see what they actually bring, here's what I think is going to happen. Now I'm going to go over all the current Archwings that are out there and all their armor, energy, health, shield and speeds and their abilities and how it could all come about. So we'll start off with the Amisher, which has 200 armor, 200 energy, 400 health, 200 shield and 1.10 sprint speed. And then you've got the Elytron. Armor 150, energy 125, health and shield both at 450 and sprint speed at 0.9. That is the lowest of the sprint speeds. But where the hell did I put? No, hang on. Let me just go over a few things here that I wrote down. Alright, so that one, that one, that. The Elytron actually has the most health. Damn, son. And the most shield. No, I see you. I see you, Elytron. Yeah, so Amisher actually has the most armor. And it's tied for the most energy, along with the Itzal. Whereas the Elytron has the most health and most shield, and the slowest sprint speed. The Itzal, 50 armor, 200 energy, 200 health, 200 shield, and 1.2 sprint speed, so it's the fastest. The Odonata, 100 armor, 100 energy, 300 health, 300 shield, and 1.00 sprint speed. And then the Odonata Prime, again 100 armor, 100 energy, 400 health, 400 shield and 1.05 sprint speed. So even though it's the Prime variant, it has just 100 more in health and shield and 0.05 more in sprint speed. So even though it's a Prime, it wasn't really much of an upgrade in terms of base stats. And if we go to abilities now, Energy Shell forms a protective energy shell around the Warframe. Disarray drops flared beacons confusing incoming guided missiles. Seeking Fire fires a large volley of homing missiles. And then repel, the Warframe emits a massive pulse of energy, stunning nearby enemies and sending them flying. So it's got a couple of defense, so it is your base all around Archwing. It's got a couple of protectives. Actually no, it's got 3 protectives more or less, and 1 offensive. Why am I saying protectives? It's defensive. 3 defensives, 1 offensive. And the Odonata is pretty much the same there with abilities. Itself. Arcline, basically they gave it Valkyr's 1. Penumbra activates a cloaking field that hides the Warframe and any nearby allies who remain stationary. Cosmic Crush forms a miniature black hole that sucks in all nearby objects before rupturing. Basically, because Archwings never had fucking vacuum, and they probably will never give them vacuum unless modular Archwings get one, this was the closest thing you got. Which is why after you did Profit Taker or Orb Mother, just before it explodes, use Cosmic Crush, get in all the rewards, get out. And Fighter Escort deploys drones that fight alongside the Warframe, each detonating in a destructive blast when killed. These are the only 2 abilities worthwhile for itself in my opinion. I never use Penumbra because you're not going to be stationary when you're in your Archwing, so that is an irrelevant ability. Arcline, never needed it. I think that was just something they had to just quickly come up with on the spot when they gave out Universal Blink. So, let me just cross off Arcline and Penumbra. Remember, this is all my opinion, this is all what I'm thinking. Elytron. Abilities. Bloomer fires a high yield, remotely detonated explosive projectile capable of latching onto targets. Core Vent vents out Archwing propulsion core, confusing enemy projectiles and causing them to detonate. Thumper creates a localized storm of punishing explosions. Warhead launches a plotting missile capable of unleashing a massive explosion. So you've got 1 defensive and 3 offensives. And Amisha, arguably the best Archwing there is. Watchful Swarm, tiny drones orbit Warframe on an ally and intercept enemy fire. Benevolent Decoy creates beacons that draw enemy fire, converting damage into healing pulses. Warding Grace renders Warframe and nearby allies immune to stats effects while slowing nearby enemies. And Vengeful Rush, all damage taken is transformed into energy while abilities gain enhanced range, duration and power. So all in all, they've all got pretty good abilities. I just want to go over. So it was confusing enemy projectiles and causing them to detonate. That was Core Vent. What was it on Odonata? Kind of a similar thing, Disarray and Core Vent, but I think Core Vent's a more effective means of doing so. So, yeah, I would actually cancel out Disarray just because I think Core Vent's more effective at doing that job. So when modular Archwings come out, I guess they're going to bring out their own little parts you can add to it, that because you've got to break down all your current Archwings to mix into modular Archwings. So I'm guessing there are going to be some extra parts that are coming out when they decide to put it out.
Navigation has been updated with new invasions. Chaos is spreading.
The game needs to be updated so you can disappear, because you haven't been with us for quite a while now, love. we've got to come and either save you or kill you. We're not sure which one is happening yet. But yeah, when we have to break down our Archwings to put them into the modular kits, depending on how many parts they break down into, that's going to depend on what we're able to combine and what base stats we're going to be able to get. I mean, Amisha has the best armor set, Itzal has the best energy and sprint, and Elytron has the best health and shield. I mean, if we're able to combine it into the ultimate Archwing, which honestly I don't think I would be spending much time doing because it's only going to be used for Railjack, and let's face it, half the time you're not really using Archwing and Railjack. I mean, the best outcome would be 200 armor, 200 energy, 450 health, 450 shield, and 1.2 sprint speed. And that's just by combining Amisha parts, Itzal parts, and Elytron parts. You wouldn't really need any of the base parts from an Odonata or Odonata Prime. But you may want it for abilities. Like, you could still keep all the abilities from Amisha because they all blend well together. But then you've got, like, for your Elytron, you've got your localized explosions, you've got your core vent to confuse incoming missiles, which might also be a good defensive to mix in with Amisha's abilities. You got Cosmic Crush and Fighter Escort, two decent abilities for Itzal that you could mix in there. Energy Shell's okay, but nah. I mean, a lot of these, Energy Shell can pretty much be cancelled out because Watchful Swarm and Benevolent Decoy and even Warding Grace, you know, they work way better than Energy Shell does, if I'm honest. Yeah, like, so for Odonata, I would say the two best abilities there are Seeking Fire and Repel. Yeah, I mean, if you just had all of Amisha's abilities, or if you wanted to swap one out for, like, I mean, if you had all of them, but you got rid of, let's say, Vengeful Rush, and you added Fighter Escort, or Seeking Fire, or Bloomer, or Thumper or Warhead. Yeah. I mean, it also depends on how they're going to let us choose abilities, or are they going to add new abilities when Modular Archwing comes out? That's another thing. It's going to be interesting to see how when it all comes out and how you have to put Archwings together to see what stats you can give them or what abilities you can give them in the process. And what new abilities may come out for them. We just don't know yet, do we? But even with all that, you've got to think, like, we've got all of these. And I don't know where I got an extra Mozzolon from. Maybe I got it with Bone Widow? I don't know. But you've got all these Archwing weapons. And they for the most part, work pretty damn well. But are they going to be bringing out Archwing kit guns and Archwing kit melees, kit Zors? Because it wouldn't surprise me if they did that, or either we're able to break some of these parts down and mix them all together. I mean, imagine Nux or Wrathbone, but mixed with an Anorix blade on the fists. Or imagine a Grappler, a 4-barrel machine gun, but it fires like a Larkspur. Or a dual Decorion that fires like a Larkspur. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see if they actually do anything with modular Archwings next year. But yeah, that's just a little idea that's flowing through my tiny little cranium at the moment. But yeah, the best stats, if we were to be able to combine all the abilities or all the stats the way we wanted, it would be 200 armor, 200 energy, 450 health, 450 shield, and 1.2. But 1.2 sprint speed, despite Archwings not being that slow, still doesn't seem like that's much. And as for abilities, I'm going to have to give that more thought. What would be the best ability combination? Or you can let me know in the comments what you think the best ability combination would be. And with that being said, I shall see you all later.